Hello and welcome back to Trailway Studios, and thank you for watching The Art of Reduction. My name's Reeve Andrews and I'm going to be your barber today. As a cosmetologist, beard trims and bald fades were my scariest things. Super tight haircut, a lot of hair on the face, a lot of ways to possibly cut your client. I learned from long hair and I had to learn really short hair. So with these series, I'm really bringing clients that I feel fairly uncomfortable, used to feel uncomfortable with. So I'm trying to do haircuts that really kind of push me out of my envelope. So you can kind of see how I, in my mind, kind of break down these haircuts that I'm kind of uncomfortable with. So today we're gonna focus on beard trim and we're gonna focus on like a nice tight bald fade. I have a lot of clients who come about every week and a half, 2 weeks to get really tight haircuts. And their beards lined up. So this is something I like to bring to the table and we're gonna dive right in. My model's name is Jackson. You come on up, sir.
Thank you, Reeve.
How are you?
Doing well, sir. Yourself?
Doing well, doing well. We'll take a seat here. And again, I'm not gonna be able to talk to you too much. I'm gonna be talking to the camera, okay?
No problem.
So as we drape our client, again, these looks like not much hair, right? Easy haircut, easy to do. To me, these are very hard haircuts. There's not much wiggle room, if you know what I mean. We're using, there's not much hair on this head already. Though once we get done with the clean bald fade and the razor work that we use on the side of this haircut, he's really gonna look different. He's gonna feel super clean. And once we kind of, look into more of his beard, we're really gonna be able to chisel him out, elongate his face. That's the number one rule or goal I'm trying to accomplish with this haircut. If you look at him, you can kind of see how this is kind of getting a little poofy, wide, kind of making his jaw look a little thick. My main objective is to really get this cleaned up and kind of angled down to really make this jawline nice and strong for my client, elongate his face. I think some of my videos, if you remember, I always talked about like an hourglass situation here, okay? And the hourglass is this right here. So you kind of see this is the thinnest point of my hourglass, and all of a sudden it goes to the bottom of my hourglass, and this goes to the top of my hourglass. So what I like to do, I really like to try to make this my tightest part of the haircut, and we're gonna fade into the beard and up into the haircut. So as we get into this, definitely take note of my hourglass situation that I want to talk about. So I'm going to dive right in. We're going to bust out the top of his haircut, then work down into the beard. Sometimes I like to go back and forth, kind of if I'm using a tool here, I'm going to use a tool here. But let's just focus on the haircut first, and then we're going to go on down to the beard. So that's the vision today. So he already comes in with fairly tight top. There's not much here. So I'm actually gonna not take too much of this length off the top. And I really wanna focus on getting this super skinned out for him. So it's gonna give illusion that he actually has a lot of hair. We're gonna go super skin here and leave a little bit of this stubble right up on top that he came in with. And I promise you it's gonna look like he has a really nice full head of hair. So we want it nice and clean. So I'm actually gonna go and do a quick hard lineup first. So I'm gonna grab my Tori Hanzo trimmers, and this is just a quick little lineup I'm gonna do on him. I always start my lineups around the C shape of the ear. So I'm just gonna go here real quick, and I'm gonna try to start drawing a line on him. And I'm gonna be using the toe or the heel of my trimmer to capture this line around his head. And I know we're gonna go skinned out. I know a lot of this might kind of seem like, oh, why are you even doing that when that's gonna be all skinned out? Well, to be quite honest with you, he has a lot of hair, you know what I mean? So up close, like I'm trying to really see the shape of his head. And that will give me all the perimeter and guidelines that I really need to see to create this haircut. So some people might want to skip this little segment and just kind of dive right into the haircut. But personally, I like to do a little hard lineup. It's not 100% perfect, but I am eliminating a lot of the hair as I go, and kind of just creating the shape of the haircut of his head. So when I drop this haircut on his head, I know exactly what I'm doing. So if I do one thing to one side, I need to do it to the other. So again, I'm gonna capture this C shape right here. Using the toe of my trimmer, I'm coming right around, creating that. And then from here, I get to come straight down, following that all the way down. I'm gonna just nice and just get this cleaned up a little bit. Flip my trimmer, and I'm kind of backhanding into that original cut, getting all those nice small hairs. If you notice, I'm always constantly gonna be using my hand for tension to get some of this hair, the ear out of the way, to really be in control of my client. Move that ear over, cleaning it up, using the toe, the trimmer. Again, I'm being slightly picky, but I will get more detailed as I go. Like I said, the art of reduction, taking a mass and refining it, taking the length down, the weight down, and getting a whole new look with the same type of product that we started out with, and just changing just kind of the dynamics of it, the shape of it, the feel of it, and all that's through just tools with scissors, razor, and it's just amazing what we can do here. So as I get this shape going, I'm going to start coming all the way down now. Cleaning up around here, and now I'm going to switch over to this C shape right here, and I like to pull right out of his eye and kind of pull out a little bit, kind of creates tautness, and that's going to allow me to kind of see a little better C shape right here, and I'm just going to keep pulling that tight and create this little C shape. Bam. I'm going to flip my trimmer, keep cleaning this up. Clean lines equal clean haircuts. I can't stress that enough. You kind of see that little hourglass shape I was talking about on the other side over here now. This is the tightest I want this haircut, and we're going to fade into this beard like a little hourglass. I'm going to come up here. I like to push the frame of his face. So if we're looking at his face, this is the frame, the picture frame. I like to push into my lines. So let me get back over here. And so I'm going to push into this. Push, push, just pushing into this. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of creep down a little bit on this cheek, clean up some of this hair. Again, I'm not really trying to work on his beard 100% right now. I would like to really focus on the hair, but just, I'm already here. Why not just kind of flow with this motion a little bit and get him kind of cleaned up just instantly. He's instantly looking better after every little bitty hair that we go ahead and take off. He's feeling my detail, he's feeling it. And more importantly, it's just I have a nice flow with my cut. And more importantly, my client could feel the flow that I create while doing my haircut. So let me jump back over here. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So since I'm over here, I'm grabbing my thumb and I'm pulling that tight. You can see his skin kind of jolt out a little bit, trying to pull that C shape up a little bit. So I'm using the toe of my trimmer, pulling that nice and tight, and creating that little C shape. It might be faint, you might not even see it at all, but I promise you this will help you in the long run of this haircut. I'm going to go ahead and creep on down his cheekbone right here, pushing into his beard. I feel like I have a lot of control. If you notice, I'm pulling up now on that temple, pulling that cheek, that hair up a little bit, giving me some nice tautness. If you notice, I always have a control finger on my client with my trimmer. So I have a connection here first, a pivot. So if he moves or coughs or I cough or something happens or someone drops something and makes a lot of noise, I have like a security blanket there. So I'm not gonna actually come far into his beard when I'm doing this. So always have a little pivot finger or a guide finger there. And I just go down on both sides and I'm gonna fade this out. I don't put a line at the bottom here. So just all I do at first is just, let's see what this skull shape looks like a little bit. So when I go ahead and when I do my big guideline here in a little bit, we could see the way his skull really is. So let's move on to the top now. I know he doesn't have much hair here, so let's go ahead and just start with the half guard all the way closed. And I'm gonna have my back of my hand on his head like this, and I'm gonna be coming from this angle, okay? And just having my 2 fingers right here controlling his head, he's gonna be really comfortable. It's gonna be a nice service. And again, just because it doesn't seem like they have much hair, this is a very difficult haircut, and more importantly, it could be a really comfortable, nice service for your gentleman. So I don't care how much hair they come in with, a good service is always possible, and adding value to your service, always possible. So that's just one thing I'm gonna try to do here. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna really go every single strand right here. I'm just nicely coming back, and I'm just kind of rolling down to his occipital bone. I'll kind of go short. So I'm really just I'm starting in the middle, and I'm just taking this clipper to about the top of his occipital bone. And I just want I want no little frizzy hairs. I want all nice one length up here, as much as I can do. So I'm gonna go all different directions, come at different angles to really make sure that I am getting every one of these little hairs nice and perfect and a really clean look for my gentleman. So again, this is a half guard completely closed. Let's bend them down. Again, this is pretty microscopic type of a haircut, you know what I mean? So I try to listen as much as I can. So if you hear any little bit of that hair getting, you know it's worthy just sitting here a little bit longer and really allowing that tool to do its job. And I've always just kind of stuck to my guns. You know, if you have the tool in your hand, try to use it to its fullest. Don't be jumping back and forth from tool to tool. So naturally, I'm just kind of going back and forth over his head, every bitty angle. I am naturally looking at the way his hair grows, and I'm trying to come against the grain so that hair falls into my blade nicely. If you notice, I'm not really using any brush, I'm not using any comb or anything, I'm kind of just using my hand. Just with his hair being so short, that's a lot of time on his scalp. So, you know, I just know I don't want more stuff on his scalp. I'm afraid it might irritate it, make it red. So I'm just being gentle, and I'm just gonna use most of my trimmer and tools for majority of this cut. Might get on a little bristle brush later, but that's later. So I'm gonna go down took up that half guard. Now I have a no guard, I have it all the way opened, and I'm just gonna come just a little farther down. I'm not gonna come up into here anymore, because I like the length up here. So now I'm gonna take that half guard, and I'm just gonna roll down a little bit to about my occipital bone, okay? So I'm just gonna be patient. I have all that lever all the way open. So I have about 8 different clicks still with this guard and this lever to dwindle down, to reduce this hair down, to create that fade look from that half guard all the way down to skin, okay? So I have this guard all the way open, slowly coming down. I'm not gonna come up into the top like I said, and I'm just dwindling down this nice tight fade for my client. So I'm gonna kind of swing him around as I do this, listening to that haircut, trying not to come up high into that half guard too much. I want this to still have a sensation of a fade all the way to the top of his hair, okay guys? So I'm here in a second. I'm gonna come to this other side, tighter. I don't know if you heard that little click. I'm just gonna go a little tighter. And now my objective is to come right into where I just stopped with that level right above this. So as I do each click, that just means I'm not gonna come nearly as high as I just was with that last little level that we were at, okay? So if you could hear, I could hear that hair. Okay, so let's just be patient. Be patient. And here in a second, you'll hear it, watch. You're gonna stop hearing it. How cool is that? You know what I mean? Just watching that hair, listening to that hair. Now we're getting back into some hair. Just listen. Being patient, not moving too fast. Using a lot of the toe and the heel during this process. I'm not really trying to make any lines right now, just nice blend all the way down. Let's listen to the cut, see if you could hear it. Let's just be patient. And patience is very big in this game with hair cutting. You might have clients lined up. You might be running behind. You might have a picky client next, and you know you're not done with this guy. And you know maybe you're done. You know, to most barbers, most guys will let them out of your chair, but you know you're better than that. You know, so you're gonna be able to take a little bit more time on your gentleman, get him done, not push him, not give him a bad service, and you're gonna be good enough when that next gentleman sits down, you're gonna be able to talk to him and confront him, say, hey, I'm sorry I'm late, you know, I have a little extra time after you, we're gonna, you know, it's not about rushing the guy in your chair if he has a harder haircut or something's going wrong. In the end, it's about giving a good haircut. And I could be honest with you, most of your clients will see you giving 110% on the guy before, and as long as you give 110% on the guy who's sitting in your chair next, they don't really bitch about it, okay? So I'm gonna slowly click this down again. And that's really starting to look good. I personally am a bigger guy, I have a heavy hand, I have a big hand. So one thing I do on accident, I push that skin. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but if I'm pushing that skin, that's not good. And a lot of times I do that. So you will see me on camera probably doing that, and you should yell at me if I do that. So just know if we're pushing skin, we're pushing the fade. And we don't want to push the fade, we want to fade, okay? So I'm gonna be a little light more handed and just allow my tool to gradually go over that skin without me pushing his hair, okay? And it's just a hard thing. It's hard for me to do, so I know it's gonna be hard for you guys to do, but if we're in the present and we're thinking and we're right here, you'll get it, and I'm getting it right now, and it's already looking better. So all the way tight now. I could hear that hair being taken still, so let's be patient. Being patient, right on top of that occipital bone. All the way, just cleaning it up, listening. You can still hear that. Very hard little area to round out to make nice and clean, but I think we're doing a really good job so far. Being patient. So here in a second, I'm going to jump off my clipper, move to a trimmer, and continue this haircut. So I'm not really hearing too much hair being taken now, so I feel confident. A way we could check now, so this is kind of a scary one, but I'm gonna flip over now. And I'm just gonna come down just at the very tail end of this. I'm not really hearing much hair, but that's okay. Just wanna cross check as I come down. It's gonna help me blend when I come up into this. Nice and tight, coming down. Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab a trimmer, and we're gonna make a nice little line. I'm gonna come right up here. You can see this little faint line I'm creating. We're gonna be real patient. Very important guideline that I'm creating right here. Gonna be patient. I'm gonna go all the way around. Following his skull shape, right below that occipital bone. Let's go back over here. Just keep cleaning it up, being patient. Nice little flick out, create so I could have that blend a little better. Look straight at me. What I'm doing is I'm just looking at where that line is on his head so I can have a nice even haircut. So what I do is I put I'm not really touching him, but real close, and I'm just gonna bend over and I'm gonna look at him one-on-one. If I had a mirror, I could sit here on a mirror and kind of look at him in the mirror. But since I don't have a mirror, I'm just gonna be eyeballing it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down on it, make this a little bit more aggressive, a little cleaner so I could see where we are. Real patient with this. Again, this is a very precise haircut. And I'm gonna go all the way around. Again, just making this very clean, professional looking. Clean lines equal clean haircuts. Now from there, what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna come up into this haircut, and that's my guideline. So I'm not gonna come really into this, I'm gonna come right to it, okay guys? So watch, just nice. Again, let the tool do the work. This is pretty satisfying in my book. I'm gonna just do a couple. Now we're gonna switch over. I only like to come halfway. I don't come all the way. I like to come halfway. It creates more power for your trimmer, and you're also coming over here, coming across that again, so you're like kind of cross-checking as you go. We're gonna come right into that guideline. All the way up, nice and slow, slow, slow. Don't irritate, don't pull your client. Fade it right up into that. Slow, 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 slow. Up. Slow, 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 slow. Flick out. And I'm gonna go all the way across his head like this, guys. This chair is real smooth, real buttery, so bear with us. So I'm gonna keep coming up, halfway, halfway, nice and slow, and I'm gonna flick out right here, bop. And we'll go through and get that a little cleaner, but just for now, we're just right here, flick out. Flat, 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 flick out. Flat, 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 flick out. Flat, flat, flick out. Flat, 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 flick out. And now what we're gonna do, guess what? We're gonna do that little typewriter situation. We're gonna bounce all the way back, doing exactly the same thing we just did. You see how I have that ear pinned back? I could get nice and low, just flipping right into that one trimmer we just did. It's amazing how I need that hair. It's amazing how I need that little transition to make all of this really work, okay? I'm gonna go all the way. I can drop his ear now. Flick out. Flick out. Flick out. And now what I wanna do here now, I'm just gonna kind of cross check. So again, I'm not trying to come up into that. I'm gonna stay right below it. But I'm gonna take my trimmer now, and I'm gonna go sideways with this, okay guys? I'm going sideways. Cross-checking. Let's flip over now. See how I flipped? I was going this way. Now I'm coming back this way. Again, all cross-checking, all getting a little tighter and tighter. And I wish you could be here, but what I'm even more precisely doing is I'm putting more pressure on the bottom end of my blade here. And so when we're coming around here, of course we want it tighter, lower in this cut, right? So he could feel it, you can't feel it, but I'm actually putting a little bit more pressure on this bottom part of this blade, pushing that skin in, digging it in a little bit more, so it's even tighter through here than up here. So it's just, there's a lot of finesse, a lot of game in this, okay? So have that angled out a little bit, kind of coming up. I call these like the wheel wells of the car, the fenders. Coming up both sides, nice and clean. Peaceful. Looking really good. If you notice, it's not irritating. Like the skin's not too irritated. I feel good about that. Okay, so whatever you do to one side, let's do to the other. And like, man, if you're in the chair and you're at the shop, and when most of my clients see this, they're like, what the hell? Like, what's going on with this? But you just trust your process. They'll trust your process, and it will really turn out really good. Okay, so let's continue this. And like, look how much hair we're taking off, even though it didn't look like he had much hair. So halfway, just like a lawnmower, flat, 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 and at the very end, we're just flicking off. Okay, halfway. Flat, 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 nice and slow. Flick off. Flick off. Nice and slow. Flick off. Flick off. Flick off. Nice and slow. I'm going to flip that ear nice and tight. Do not be afraid to move that ear out of your way, guys. I can't stress enough. Get it out of the way. Get a really great haircut. Get nice and tight around that ear. Nothing worse than you actually leaving a little strands of hair right around this ear. And like the whole haircut could be perfect, but you have a little patch of hair right here. Ugh, not liking it, guys. Move that ear out of the way. Flick, flick, and like I said, that typewriter, we're gonna go all the way back, doing our exact same motion, okay guys? Be patient, breathe, it's a great service, he's comfortable. And to be honest with you, haircuts like this, you know, a lot of these guys, like I know these guys are hard workers, they're family guys, they're military guys, they're uniform guys, these are the type of haircuts that I really pride myself to give, because, you know, it gives them a lot of freedom, extra time in the morning, easier when they get home. You know, you're giving them a little bit of life and freedom when you give them these really, you know, simplistic haircuts to maintain. But imagine giving them a really clean one as well, you know, when that looks like someone took a lot of time to create for them. And I think that's just beautiful when you could just really change the guy's life and extra time and make him feel good. I just think that's just absolutely gorgeous. So like I did to one side, let's do to the other. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Okay, now we're gonna flip and come the other way. I'm putting more pressure on the bottom of this blade the lower I am. Kind of see my hourglass situation right here still. Being patient. Getting all these hairs. You notice I'm using my hand to kind of feel, see if there's any hairs that are longer, any stubblies. And I just can't stress enough the power of positive touch, you know, like just me not having my tool and another piece of plastic or anything in my hand, and just my hand touching him like this and doing a lot of this work. It feels really good, and it's just a good opportunity to try to draw negative energy out. I'm a neutral, I'm just a neutral rod, and his energy is coming through here, through my arm, out my body, to the floor, and onward. And you know, if we could really relieve some stress for our guys and our clients just through the positive touch of our hands and our bodies and our tools, again, that's added service. You know, that you can't even put a price on that, guys. I get all my money from damn near that, just the energy I either suck out or the energy I give back to my client. And I just think that's just a lot of power, you know. So don't forget, let's blow them off. We reduced a lot of hair. And look at them one more time. I feel, just looking at them, if I had a mirror, I could tell that I have a little bit more arch over here than I do here. So I'm gonna create that arch again. So I'm jumping on that different trimmer, that original trimmer I put that line in with. I'm actually gonna jump back on it to create a little bit more arch over here. And again, both heads, like both sides of his head are not the same. So I'm trying to mimic it maybe, or I'm trying to at least just get it symmetrical enough. It might be wise just to kind of keep it like this, you know, but for me, I just saw it was a little curved, so I'm gonna try to create just a little bit more curve. And with that being said, you don't want to really take the point here down, and you really don't want to take the point here down. So I'm just going to try to create just a little bit more natural curve through here. So we're going to bring that line up just a little bit more. Nothing too noticeable. Okay. Perfect. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna continue going down this fade, okay? So I know it seems like, oh man, he took a trimmer right here. Well, there's still some hair, and that hair is casting a little bit of shadow on his skin. So once I get tighter and tighter as we go down, it's gonna show more white of his skin, and that's where that fade's gonna even get more drastic as we go, okay? So I'm gonna jump on my Babyliss double foils, my sterling gold spray, just hit those tips, okay? And again, I'm gonna be very safe with this, and I'm gonna come down at first, okay? Let's clean them off a little bit more. It's nice to really be able to see, I'll get all that loose hair off of them, because again, this is pretty microscopic of a cut, and you wanna be able to see the transition of the haircut. So I got them cleaned up. I'm gonna start low, and again, I'm letting the tool do the work. I'm gonna go down first the whole time. Nice and easy, not trying to create any redness. Being patient, not pushing too hard. We'll roll them out a little bit. So my hourglass right here, remember this is gonna be one of the tightest spots. So let's just really sit here, start cleaning up that bottom line. I like to go back and forth multiple times right here to really kind of get this little shape nice and clean. Behind the ear, very important, nice and clean. Okay, whatever you do to one side, let's do to the other. So we're gonna come over here. We're gonna sit here and really start getting this in the line nice and clean. You can hear that hair being taken from my foil shaver. I'm using the top foil shaver for this aspect, because if I was using the bottom one, if I flip this around, I can't see that bottom foil shaver anymore. So if I have it flipped this way, I can see that top, so I can see exactly what I'm doing. So that's why I have it angled this way. Being patient, let's move that ear out of the way, flip it down. I like to go back and forth right here to make sure I get really nice and tight, as super low of this cut as I can. Straight down. I can still hear this hair being taken, so let's just be patient. Work this up just a little bit more. From what I could tell, this is looking really good so far, and I haven't even busted out the razor yet, so I feel my confidence level is feeling good. My anxiety is lower right now. And that's just, those are great stages to get into the haircut, you know. Every stylist and barber has those stages where, hey, once I get to this part of the cut, it's good, you know, it's downhill, you know. So I just encourage you to try to set goals, some little steps, and you know, once you get to this point, you know, take a breath, breathe, you know, and like, hey, you know, you're a quarter of the way there, you know. And so just trust your process, and just trust the process with everything you do, and I encourage that full-heartedly. So let's just be patient, clean this up. So now what I'm gonna do is I've been coming down, so I'm gonna flip up now. I'm gonna come straight up. Straight up. If you notice, I'm bending his neck away from this clipper, so I'll show you, this will be a better, so when I'm coming up, you know, I want this to kind of stop like right in here. So if you notice, I'm coming up. That's my jam right there. So I'm gonna make this look really good. We're gonna do all the way around. Okay guys, let's blow him off. Again, I appreciate you guys viewing and watching these videos. Again, we know they're long. We know there's a lot of talking, though I just hope that maybe just each video, there's just one thing that you capture that you could add to your week at work that might make it just a little bit better. Like that's it, one thing from one of these videos, each and every video, you really are gonna be becoming a great stylist, I would hope, just by some of these little tricks. So I'm just hitting them with just a little bit of just natural hairspray from Aveda. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down here and just eliminate some of this little fluff with my feather razor, okay? Just trying to, this hair right here is just a little too long to take my foil shaver down and get. It would pull, it would hurt him. So I just wanna go through this real quick with my feather razor. And I really like this technique. I do this on even if I'm not doing like a straight razor, I'll still do this on every haircut, but I'm still gonna bust a straight razor out on him in a second. So let's just get some of this off of him right now though. So I'm using the cool setting, not the hot setting. And I'm trying to get super low into his shirt. Again, I like doing this little technique. It kind of reminds me of being at the dentist when they squirt the water and the air at the same time. This is my version, because I just don't want that hair going down in his shirt, you know what I mean? So I want that air to kind of like pop up and get out of there. So now that I took down all that little baby hair, that back hair that was creeping up into his haircut, now I feel comfortable now jumping back on my full shavers real quick and just getting that little bit of rest of that little baby hair that razor didn't get, okay? Because now that it's really short, it's a lot shorter now, this full razor is really gonna go back and get majority of that hair out of the way. And maybe I'm wrong, you could comment, but I like to try to get a lot of the hair out of the way before I even get on my razor, because it's just, I get to see what I'm doing, less opportunity to cut my client. So I really do like to try to eliminate most of the hair before I even bust out my razor. So that, I wish you could feel this, but this feels really good so far. So let's continue our downward progression of getting tighter. So we're gonna do some razor work, and then from the razor work, we're gonna blend all this into the beard, and it's gonna look really, really good. So from here, I haven't blown off, and then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get a hot towel, and I'm gonna put a little bit of Invisible Shave Cream by Hans de Fuco. I like the invisible stuff, just so I could see where my blade is. You know, if it's white or there's color in my gel or whatever, kind of hard to see where it's at. So I'm just gonna get some on my hands here. And I'm just gonna, again, we're not razoring a lot of this because we need some of that length, that darkness to create my fade, you know? So to make this look long as possible, because this looks so short. So I'm gonna grab this, I just kind of 2-finger this product, and we're just gonna kind of about 1 inch up from his neckline. So if you notice, I'll kind of keep it thick at first so you kind of see where I'm at. Okay. I'm gonna travel all the way up. I'm gonna come up into his little points up here. Get down. Don't get it on his shirt. Bring as low as you can. We're not doing the beard yet. And I'm gonna come right across his forehead, okay? So we basically just did a perimeter around our gentleman's whole head. This stuff smells really good. Okay. So let me wipe off my hands real quick and get a hot towel. And I'm gonna come back like this, all the way around, flip. And then I like to pin it up like this. Again, you did not just see me put that clip in my mouth. And then I like to cover them up like this. This technique, I like it kind of traps that heat that's leaving that hot towel, really allows that steam, that moisture to sit on my client and really do its work. It feels good for him just to sit here, that warm towel. And more importantly, it's like I could take a step over here for a second and I could kind of like clean up my tools, hit him with some disinfectant. You know, I could do all kinds of little things, you know, while he's sitting there to kind of get me ready for my next client, get me ready for my beard trim, whatever I need while he's kind of sitting here. So we're gonna let him sit here for a little second longer. And then we'll start in the back and then we'll work our way forward with him. So I keep the towel by me. I just hold the towel here, pop off my clips like this. You take this towel around. I drop this. I loosely drape them so I could kind of get down in the neck a little bit, but we need this towel right here so we can clean off our straight razor. Okay, again, I'm a cosmetologist. I had to teach myself all the razor work. More importantly, it is important. I love, that's how I put it in my hand. I just kind of sit here, that pinky, it's there for a reason. And then my 2 fingers right here, these 3 fingers are to hold on to the head. And most of my movement is really in these 2 fingers, if you can kind of see what I'm doing. Some in the wrist, but a lot of it is just in your 2 fingers. So I'm gonna sit here, and actually I'm gonna backstroke up first. Nice and simple. Now I'm going to come down. You could come down. Some people want to come down first. They can and then go up. But a lot of times it's less likely you're going to cut someone up on this backstroke. And I kind of like to come up on the backstroke kind of at first, just in case there's some kind of blemish or maybe there's a little pimple or something that I didn't notice before I come down and actually kind of cut that thing off or hurt him. So I'm going to be very peaceful here. And we're just going to pull tight. Clean off my blade. I'm going to just slowly work around. Pulling nice and tight. If you notice, it's just my fingers are the ones trying to move. Here we are in our little hourglass. So I mean, right here is just I'm trying to get this, the tightest and cleanest of the cut is right here. So I'm putting most of my pressure, my cleanliness in this little area right here, guys. Clean up around his hairline, being very careful, breathing, making the skin tight. A little backstroke, 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 backstroke. You could hear that blade still kind of capturing, so let's just be patient. Okay, let's work all way back around. I'm gonna back stroke up in here for a second. Kind of come straight down. Just being patient. Being focused on my fingers. That's what I'm trying to be focused on and get better at, is using these two fingers as my pivot, as my force. Not using my wrist. I feel like if I use my wrist, more opportunity to kind of dig, kind of, you know what I mean? But if I'm just using my fingers, it's more of a straight down motion. I feel a little bit more comfortable with that. And again, just like that other side, guys, this is the tightest spot. So let's really be patient here and really get this little point really clean, okay? He has a little pimple right here. So we just have to be careful with that with my blade. And now we're gonna do this little C shape. So I'm gonna pull real tight, and it's gonna be small, but it's okay. We're gonna try to make this as defined and clean as we can. Pulling tight away. Okay, whatever you do to one side, let's do to the other. So I'm coming over here. I'm pulling this down. Creating this little C shape as best as I can for my client. Cleaning up my C shape. Cleaning up my little hourglass more because I want this nice and tight. So what I like to do now though is just jump back on my full shaver and just see if I missed anything. It's gonna grab anything I didn't miss, or I missed. Okay, and now I'm just gonna hit the front. And I'm not trying to change his front at all, but I do want to make this look a little cleaner. He has a little bit thicker hair right in the front, so I feel confident that I could take this down. I'm just gonna be very patient. Anytime you have a blade on the face, you just have to understand that you have a lot of power in your hands, and we need to be really present and aware.
Did you know what happened?
Yeah, he would beat my ass. So just being patient here. No, Emily will beat my ass. Okay, so that looks pretty clean now. We have one more line to buff out. We're almost done with this haircut, and then we can move to the beard. So we're gonna buff this next little line out, okay? Whatever you put the line in with is what you get the line out with, okay? So what I wanna do is I'm going to have a closed guard clipper, and I'm just gonna buff this out right here. Closed guard clipper. It's gonna be really cool. It should be really easy to buff this out because we did everything right. We took all the weight down this way. Remember, we came down here, we came down, 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 and now we're coming up. This is my meeting ground I talked about. We came down, we came up, and here we are. We're at this one little, what is it called? One more guideline to buff out. This is one of the original ones we put in there, remember? So let's just be patient. Going about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch up into it. I have this all the way closed. Just being patient. I could hear that hair being taken. all the way up.
It feels great.
The haircut does? Or
Yeah,
all of it?
all of it.
Good. I'm gonna slowly open my guard up as I blend up into this cut. I'm not really going much higher though, just a smidge, just being really patient. You know, I don't want to go much more than a quarter of an inch, no more, you know, just blending out this little guideline, this little bit, peacefully, easily. Again, I don't want to be pushing a scalp. Remember we talked about pushing a scalp. We don't want to do that. Being patient, open it up just a little bit more. Just coming up no more than a half an inch. That's all I want to work with right here. All the way open. All the way open now. Patience, looking super superb. Really proud of ourselves so far. Being patient. Okay. I'm gonna close it all the way again. Just kind of go back over that original bottom line. Being patient. Okay. And remember that one little note I said, whatever you put the line in with is usually what you take the line out with. So if you remember correctly, I use my little Andis. And I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna really just try to buff this out right now. Just really patient. Using the toe and heel on my trimmer to buff this line out with. I could still hear the hair being taken, so I know I need to be patient and let my tool do the work. Even with the trimmer, I can make that skin push back and forth, so I need to be really patient and diligent that I'm not moving the skin back and forth. I'm going to tilt him over a little bit more. Okay. Using the toe, using the heel, working it all the way around. All the way around. Now I'm typewritering back and forth, just back and forth on that little original guideline I put on my gentleman. Let's go back over here now. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So we're going to be very patient. Keep working that little line out right here. See that little line? I can still hear hair being taken, so I know we could do this more. Don't go with the urge just to stop now because it looks okay. Wait till it looks great. So far I'm really liking what we're doing with Jackson, and I think he's going to enjoy it. Little typewriter action. Okay, I'm being picky now. I'm gonna jump back up on my no guard. I'm gonna have it all the way open. I'm just kind of buff this out a little bit. Just a little buff. Being picky on myself. So far this looks really good. A little buffing over here. And then last but not least, I'm gonna jump on my feather razor. Whatever I did with her right here. And I'm just gonna be real gentle with my feather razor, and I'm just gonna detail anything. I'm not using my straight razor for this, but I'm just gonna use my feather razor. Gives me a lot of control. Could get real tight. I could get kind of long with it. So I'm just going through detailing, touching up this haircut, really making it beautiful for my client. Just hitting that little line out just a little bit. Oh yeah. And that, guys, is a really good looking fade. Okay, so I feel good. Now we're gonna work into our beard. I usually have a chair that lays back, so having them upright, no issue, we're gonna make it work. So I like to work one side of the face and the other, okay? So a couple rules of thumb I live for on the beard is that I just draw a line across the face, okay? So there's let's say three different lines. We're gonna start with the mustache as your middle line. And I draw a line straight across from the mustache, okay? The next line is gonna be at the bottom of your ear, okay? And maybe the tip of your nose, the bottom of the ear, all the way across his face, okay, to the other bottom of the ear. And the next line is whatever length my man wants on his beard. With him, we're gonna keep it longer. We're gonna try to keep all this length, okay? So the third line is here. So here, here, and then below the ear, okay? Anything from the mustache up, I feel comfortable kind of coming up on the beard with my clippers. Anything from the mustache or below, very important that I like to come down on my beard, because if I come up on this, it's gonna dig into this and it's gonna make it really short. I don't mind it getting a little shorter through here because, like we said, we need this to be kind of our hourglass. Tightest here is gonna get longer into our longest hair, and we're gonna get, shorter, 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 longer, longer, longer. So that's why I don't mind kind of coming up this way up into here, because we are usually trying to like pinch this in. But with this haircut, I'm going to come down, or this beard trim, I'm gonna come down majority of it at first, and then I'm gonna come up into those sideburns, okay? So he has a nice thick beard. I'm trying to think out loud if I wanna go through and kind of line him up first or just kind of take him down. I'm just gonna start taking some length down. So I'm gonna start with my half guard open, and we're gonna, again, this is my hourglass. This is the tightest spot. We're gonna slowly get longer as we go. So half guard, this is gonna go quick. I'm gonna do a 1.5 guard. Being patient. That was a 1 guard, sorry. That was a 1 guard open. Now I'm going to a 1.5 guard open. Hitting the mustache a little bit. Again, I'm keeping all this nice and long for my guy. Okay, 1.5 open. Now we're gonna go to 2 open. We're coming down. If I come up on this, it's gonna take a lot of length away from him and not keep that nice dark look that we like, okay? So this is my 2 guard. Just dripping it down. If you notice, I'm not taking any length off the bottom of this beard. And again, those lines is so whatever you do here is gonna be the same length over here. Whatever you do here is gonna be the same length over here and over here. And whatever you do here is gonna be the same length down in here. Whatever you do up here is gonna be the same. So we're just trying to make him symmetrical, okay? So this is my 2 guards still. I have it all the way open right now. Okay, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start closing this. And I'm gonna kind of fade it back up. So this is a 2 guard. Now I'm kind of closing it, and now I'm gonna venture back up. So I'm not gonna go nearly as low as I get tighter with my guards as I come back up into this. Just like fading, it's just kind of like a tapering this. Okay, all the way closed. Now I'm jumping back on my 1.5 guard. And I'm gonna have it open, but I'm gonna slowly close it as I come back up this cut. So click, a little tighter, cleaning up his mustache, a little tighter, venturing back up his beard, all the way tight again. Now from here, I'm gonna flip over and I'm gonna start coming up right here. Getting this a little tighter, a little cleaner of a look for him. And I'm gonna slowly get tighter and tighter as I go, all the way closed. And now my main objective is to blend out this little line. So that was a 1.5, or that was a 1.5 open. I have a 1 guard now, all the way open. And I'm just gonna start working this in, working this out. And I'm just gonna get a little tighter and tighter as I go. Okay, now we're gonna get on a 1/2 guard, all the way open, closed, tighter, 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 okay? Now, all the way open, no guard. Lift that temple up, 1 little notch at a time, or 2, whatever you wanna do. All the way tight. Okay, now we're gonna jump on our trimmer. And I'm gonna just do a little bit more of a lineup. Remember, we kind of did that original hard lineup. We're just gonna start defining it more and more for our client as we go. One side at a time. Creating that hourglass. Cleaning up the ear. There's a lot of hair in the ear, so why not clean them up? Again, my main objective is to make these guys look as young as possible. Get all those bad hairs out. If that hair is not supposed to be there, I really don't want it there, and it's my job and my duty as a barber to help my guy out and get those hairs, okay? So I'm gonna kind of clean up here. I'm gonna push. Again, number one, we don't want that beard like dipping in. We kind of wish we could have it either coming out a little bit or straight down. So we're gonna keep him coming straight down. Okay, I like this little Andis T outline for any lip work because it's a nice small head and it typically doesn't hurt. So I'm gonna have my client, will you tuck your lip? I have them tuck their lip. And I usually I use my thumb and I bend that nose out of the way a little bit. Clean up the nose, any nose hair. And I'm just gonna clean this up. I like to go, from this point of the nose down is kind of where I like to do my little line. So I'm gonna pop it off right here. And I'm gonna follow that line up to his nose. And that's kind of my little guideline for creating this little connector from the mustache down to the beard. I'm gonna push into it, pull out of it, push in, pull out, push in, creating a nice clean line. Push, 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 push. Now I'm gonna do the lip. It's hard to see, but you got the pink part of the lip, and then you have that little white where that skin is on the lip. I wanna just kind of showcase a little bit of that white on that lip, okay? We'll get a little smaller comb. These Johnny B combs are great. They have many different ones. It's like a little mustache kind of beard comb. It kind of tapers in. So I could really kind of get nice and clean in that beard, which is nice. So again, I'm just gonna pop this off. And it's one move, you could relax for a second. I'm gonna start here, go all the way down and clean up. So it's one move from here. I'm gonna clean, 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 and come up into this little part of the beard. So let's showcase that white, that little bit of that white, kind of creates a little almost like a lip liner, a contrast for him. We're gonna be patient. And come all the way through. And just be real patient, sitting here. Using this nice small little trimmer to get some of these really detailed looks. Make sure we're getting it nice and clean. Okay, go back through. You might have to go back over and do this a couple times, but that's okay. Nice clean lines is what we're trying to achieve here. Open up his mouth and his lips to kiss his beautiful wife. It's nice and clean, opening that up, slimming that down. Use my comb. Push some hair if there's any hairs that need to be kind of pushed into the way to get cleaned up. Let's do that. Okay, and remember we're gonna bust the razor out on him too. So again, not all, this trimmer work is gonna be close, but it's not gonna be perfect yet. But once we bust out that razor back out, we should be able to really dial a lot of this in. So just be patient. All you got is a trimmer, and that's all you could do. It looks a million times better than when he walked in. So don't be, if you can't use a razor at your shop, don't beat yourself up. We could do really clean haircuts just using this, okay? So I'm gonna tilt him down a little bit. We're trying to keep a lot of this length going. So we're not gonna we're not taking any of this length off, okay? So let's just be patient. And I'm gonna go real simple. We're just gonna slowly start reducing some of this neck beard. Again, I'm only gonna work on this one side. So here's his Adam apple. I'm just gonna work on the left side of his Adam apple. Just nice and patient. Trying not to pull his hair. For some reason, just the beard hair, it's growing, beard hair, neck hair, man, it grows in every single direction all over the place. So it's really easy to kind of, if your trimmers aren't on point or they're dull or overworked, very, very likely that you might pull down here. So it's just better go slow and let your tool really kind of take control and take charge during this time. And me not really trying to force anything, because again, that hair just kind of grows everywhere, and it's just the likely that you might snag something and pull and kind of hurt your client is there. So I would much rather just kind of be patient around the neck. It's a very sensitive spot. And again, if you work smooth around the neck, they're gonna really trust you, because it's just a vulnerable spot to work in. So don't take anything lightly around the neck, please, as you cut this hair. Just a little bit more detail work at this little corner. We're gonna do some eyebrow work. And I do all this work while I'm on the one side, so I don't have to jump back and forth, waste time, forget where I'm at. I'm able to keep this super symmetrical. Okay, and then what I like to do is I like to use my nice long 8.5s, Hattori Hanzos, and all I'm gonna do is just real patiently, any outliers of his beard, use my nice long scissors to take down. And I'm just gonna do this one side, and then I'll transfer and do the other side. Just being patient. I even like to kind of stand in the back and look straight down. These are my favorite, one of my favorite scissors I've ever been able to use. These 8.5 Hattori Hanzos. They say size doesn't matter. They're wrong. It does matter. Okay, I'm really pleased with this nice full beard on this one side. And then what my goal is, I'm gonna mirror the other side. And then from there, I might jump back and forth to kind of like bring it all together if it's not already all together. So watch this. I'm gonna be a little harder because I'm gonna have to jump back and forth a lot here. But well, let's see, Jackson, I'm gonna move you like that. Okay, so remember, half guard. I'm gonna do the same progression all the way down, okay, guys? Half guard open, or no guard open. One guard open. One and a half guard opened. Again, we're trying to keep this length down in here, so I'm not trying to go too low into that. 2 guard opened. Make sure you hear that click. It's very important. You would hate for that bad boy to fall off right now and you take off half his beard after you work so hard to make it look perfect. Okay, I'm gonna get into his mustache a little bit here. Okay, last one, 3 guard open, and then I'm gonna transfer back up his beard. 3 guard open. I'm gonna slowly close this 3 guard. So working up that 3 guard, I have it all the way closed. Jumping on my 2 guard again, I'm gonna go all the way back down the line. 2 guard, I'm opening it up, and I'm gonna slowly close it. A little tighter. A little tighter. A little tighter. Now I'm jumping on my 1.5 guard, opening it all the way up. I'm gonna slowly tighten it as I go, as I move up this beard. A little tighter, a little tighter, a little tighter, 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 all the way tight. Now I'm gonna flip. I'm opening it back up. Now this is my hourglass right here, so I want this the tightest. I want it to fade into this length. Slowly closing this guard. Slowly closing this guard. Slowly closing it, all the way closed. Jumping on my 1 guard, all the way open now. I'm gonna slowly close it, trying to blend out that little line right there. Close, close, closed. All the way closed. Now I'm jumping on my 1/2 guard, all the way opened. I'm gonna slowly close this down. All the way closed. Using that corner, getting nice and tight. Okay. No guard, all the way opened. Can you see how I mean, it's a lot of stages, a lot of steps for a bald fade and a beard trim. That's why I get paid the way I get paid, because we try to be intricate, we try to be detailed, we try to be smooth and cohesive and proper, and it's just there's a lot that goes into these haircuts, I think, and it's a lot of fun when you think deep. It makes the time go by quick. Okay, all the way closed. Jumping on my trimmer now. Bam. See how that looks nice? Almost like an hourglass now, how it gets nice and tight right there. Let's keep going. It's gonna look even better as I go. I'm gonna come down a little bit. So we're gonna come straight down right here. And remember, on the neck, we're gonna go nice and slow for my gentleman. Lift him up, nice and slow. If you want to create some tautness, I'm like stretching out his neck a little bit. That's gonna help you not create any issues with cutting, pulling. As long as you have that skin nice and tight, that really does help the cause. Nice and easy. I'm not trying to bring up that line. He's wanting it to get a little bigger for the winter. Pull his head down a little bit. Are you good? Relax. Looking for any wild hairs coming out. I try to get low. I try to get all the bad hairs I can. So I'm gonna come low on his shirt. I'll blow him off when I can. But he's gonna be really appreciative of me getting low like this. Nice and low. In case he's wearing a V-neck or something. Kind of makes him look a little younger, not having that Who? Burt Reynolds coming out at you. Okay, so that's looking really good.
The old burly swagger.
Remember what I did with my 8.5-inch shears on the one side real quick? That's what I want to do over here. Again, just looking for any outliers, any hair sticking out that's not going with my overall shape that I try to create. And to be honest with you, I still have to do his lip on this side. So it's like even myself, you know, I might skip a step, but don't forget a step. That's might be a good quote, you know. So even if you forget the step, just go back and do it, and you'll be okay. So I still need to do. You could look at it. I mean, how much detailed that is. If I were to forget that, that would be a no-no. So just because I might have skipped a step, I won't forget a step. So I'm gonna go back and make sure we line him up real quick. And we are getting to a really cool look for my guy, and we'll get you guys up and going. So let's do this. Let's grab my little Andis T outliner. Remember, it has a nice little small blade, so I can get nice and in. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. He's already tucking his lip. He knows the process. I'm gonna move that nose over, and it kind of showcases any hairs up here. Get those out of the way. He's tucking. Push, push, push. Push. I'll come over here just to make sure we're real even. Push, push. Okay, you kind of see this natural line from his nose. That's what I'm going to capture. Push, pull out, push, pull out. Sounds like sex. I'm going to clean him up over here. Okay. Again, we're going to try to showcase a little bit of that white around his lip is my goal. We'll pull this up a little bit so I can kind of see up and underneath there. We're going to be patient. Very important part of the beard is the lip. Want to make it look inviting, want people to be able to see it, to read his mouth and words. Like, it's amazing, you know, how you can help people out, you know. If he's up and he does a lot of yard work and tree work, he's up and yelling at someone and they might not hear him, but they might be able to see his mouth a little bit more and not be able to get hurt. You just never know what are some of the things that could happen because, you know, you helped out someone just kind of clean up the mouth. Might get more kisses, you just never know. So remember, I use my little comb to pull this hair down. Do some detail work here. Being patient. The main objective is make him look uniform, symmetrical. Clean up any outliers. Want a couple more times. Looking good. Look down for me a little bit. I always like to make him look down. Get all that hair off. All the way down. And when I push him down, man, it kind of pushes the hair and like everything. I get to see it just a little bit better when I push him down like this. So when my last moves, I'll make sure they look all the way down and do a couple final touches like this. If any hairs that are out, I know this is gonna get. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of razor work. Usually I would lay them down, do a hot towel, but since we don't have that, I kind of show you kind of a quick way to do it. I like to touch my lines up with a little bit of hairspray. So what I like to do is I'm going to block his eyes like this, and all I'm gonna hit is this and this. I'm just gonna hit his cheekbones and right behind his ear. So block his face. You don't need much. And that just adds a little bit of grip for my blade to catch. So what's gonna be nice is when I bring this blade into the game, that hairspray is gonna create any baby hairs. That hairspray gets on that blade, has something to grab onto. It's grabbing onto that hairspray I just created. So I'm gonna go through and really clean this up nice with that hairspray. We blow some air into your cheek. Yep. I like to have them blow a little bit of air into the cheek. Again, it creates a nice tightness for me. Makes that skin a little bit more taut. Less likelihood to cut or hurt or irritate my gentleman. Relax. I'm gonna backstroke. We'll clean up right underneath his eye. Come up underneath here. Clean up the eye a little bit more. I'm gonna come up right up underneath here and get this little bit of hair right here. I could pull back on that beard a little bit, kind of showcase this back here. And whatever you do to one side, let's do to the other. So I'm gonna flip over here. I like to block his eye. Hit the perimeter. Start my C shape up here. Little finishing touch. Clean up the eyebrow. Clean up underneath the eye. Clean up underneath here. And there you go. Look straight at me, sir. Look down a little bit. Let's blow them off. And just like that, you know, we have ourselves a really beautiful bald fade. Got a great beard cleanup on him. You know, he felt good. There's a lot of good energy exchange between the two of us. And it's just a really great haircut to have in your arsenal and repertoire. So thank you for watching The Art of Reduction. Thank you, Trailway Studios, for letting us be here today. And thank you, Jackson, for being a great client.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.